Today is the Feast of the Ascension. It's been 40 days since Jesus rose from the tomb on Easter morning. And during those 40 days, according to Luke and the book of Acts, he's been appearing to the disciples and teaching them even more about the kingdom of God than he had when he was alive. And so they wonder, is this the moment? They ask him, Lord, is this the time when you'll restore the kingdom to Israel? We once had our own nation and we lost it. We once had you and we thought we'd lost you, but now you're back. So is this the moment when you'll restore things? Is this the moment when life will finally go back to the way it should be? He gives them an unsatisfying answer. Jesus says to the disciples, it's not for you to know the times or periods that the Father has set by his own authority. And then, after a few more words, he is lifted up into the sky and disappears behind a cloud. It's a very unsatisfying answer. It's not for you to know the times or the periods that the Father has set by his own authority. They're asked simply to trust. This is a frustrating idea, especially for those of us who have spent the last 14 or 15 months waiting and waiting and waiting to know when things will go back to normal, or at least when we'll be able to do things that feel a little normal again. When we'll be able to drop our kids off in the nursery or in godly play, when we'll be able to travel on an airplane to visit relatives without being afraid, when we'll be able to just walk around and live our everyday lives and worry about our ordinary concerns without the looming threat of a pandemic. It's not for you to know the times or periods, Jesus says, and this is a frustrating answer. There is an insight, though, that comes from what happens next. Jesus has appeared into the clouds, and two angels appear and say to the disciples, Galileans, why do you stand looking up toward heaven? This Jesus who's been taken up from you into heaven will come in the same way as you saw him go. And the disciples return to their lives. Why are you looking up into heaven, they say? Jesus is gone. This man you loved, this vision you had, has disappeared. But look, you're still here in the present. If we try to plan and to control those times and seasons of the next few months, if we try to pin everything down so that we know exactly when we'll be able to go back to normal, we're only going to be banging our heads against the wall. We can only hurt ourselves. We cannot control the larger situation. We can't control state guidelines or even church guidelines that come from the bishop's office. What we can control is where we set our eyes. Do we, like the disciples, look up at the thing that's disappeared, wishing it would come back? Do we turn our eyes to the things that are already here or still here? Do we focus on the people we can see, the places we can go, the things that we can do, even together, even here in the church? It's not within our power to set those times or periods. That comes from somewhere outside ourselves, but we can set our eyes on the things that remain before us.